Your mid-sentence, explaining something you know well, and then the word just disappears. You know the word. It's right there. On the tip of your tongue, you can almost taste what it sounds like, but you can't get to it. So you pause, you paraphrase around it. You say the thing or or the whatchamacallit. You laugh it off. Everyone else laughs too. But later, in the quiet, you're thinking about your grandmother or the news story about early onset dementia or that friend of a friend who got diagnosed at 54. And you're doing the math and you can't sleep. If any of that sounds familiar, it may not be that you're developing dementia or losing your mind, and you're definitely not getting stupider with age. What's happening to your brain has a specific mechanism, and once you understand it, most of the fear goes away. Today, we're going to decode why words disappear mid-sentence in midlife, why it happens most to the sharpest, busiest people, and what actually helps. Let's get one thing clear before we go anywhere. The words are still there. Your knowledge is still there. Your intelligence is still there. What's temporarily struggling is the retrieval mechanism, the part of your brain that finds and delivers the right word at the right moment. Think of your memory like a library. The books are all there, organized, shelved, ready. What's happening is not that the books have gone missing. It's that the librarian who fetches them for you, the one who has been running that reference desk for 40-something years or more without a break, is suddenly overloaded. She used to bring back the book you wanted in half a second. Now, sometimes it takes her 10 seconds, sometimes 20, sometimes she comes back later, hours later, with the exact book you needed at dinner. The library is intact. The librarian is overwhelmed. Big difference. The clinical name for the I know the word but I can't say it experience is the tip of the tongue phenomenon. It happens to everyone at every age, but something changes in midlife that makes it happen more often. And there are 4 specific things overwhelming your librarian. First, your hormones change the chemistry of the reference desk, and this affects both women and men. For women in perimenopause, estradiol drops. Estradiol isn't just about reproduction. It directly affects dopamine, serotonin, and glutamate. All 3 of those neurotransmitters play a role in retrieval, attention, and verbal memory. When estradiol fluctuates or drops, the librarian's own mental sharpness drops with it. She's not slower because she got older. She's slower because the chemistry that once fueled her focus has changed. Progesterone also drops in perimenopause, and with it a metabolite called allopregnanolone. Allopregnanolone supports the calming GABA system that helps the librarian stay focused instead of scanning for threats. When it falls, the librarian gets jumpier, more distractible, less able to complete a thought without interruption. For men in andropause, testosterone begins to drop from about the age of 35. According to the Massachusetts Male Aging Study, total testosterone declined at about 1.6% per year. Testosterone interacts with the same neurotransmitter systems. Low testosterone shows up as reduced motivation and slower cognitive processing. The librarian in a testosterone-depleted brain is running her whole day on lower energy. Research suggests that between 44 and 62% of women in perimenopause report noticeable cognitive changes. That is not a few people. That is most women in midlife. And it is not proof of decline, it is proof that hormones shape thought. Second, cortisol keeps interrupting the librarian. By midlife, your nervous system has been running elevated stress hormones for years. Constantly high cortisol impairs the hippocampus, the part of your brain that handles memory formation and retrieval. Chronically elevated cortisol has been shown to actually reduce hippocampal volume in some studies. So the librarian isn't just distracted. She's working in a slightly smaller reading room than she used to. When cortisol is chronically elevated, the librarian keeps getting called away from her desk to respond to alarms she can't turn off. You know that feeling of, I walked into the kitchen and I have absolutely no idea why I'm here. That's cortisol interrupting the librarian mid-fetch. The book was on its way. The alarm sounded. The librarian dropped the book and ran. And now you're standing in front of the refrigerator with no memory of what you came for. Third, she didn't sleep last night, and maybe not the night before that. Sleep is when memory retrieval pathways get organized. Deep sleep and REM sleep consolidate the connections between the concept you want and the word for that concept. In midlife, sleep gets fragmented. Sometimes from hot flashes, sometimes from racing thoughts, sometimes from a nervous system that has forgotten how to fully rest. And of course, chronic stress. Here is the part most people miss. Your sleep test can come back normal and you can still be sleep deprived because the micro-arousals that break up deep sleep are subtle enough to escape detection. You slept for 8 hours. Your librarian didn't. Of course, she can't remember where she put the word for refrigerator. And here is the compounding effect. Sleep is also when the brain clears metabolic waste through the glymphatic system. When sleep is fragmented for years, the reference desk gets cluttered with the mental equivalent of dust, and the librarian has to work harder just to find things. Fourth, too many people are asking her for books at once. Working memory, the part of your brain that holds active information, can hold roughly 3 to 5 items at a time. Now consider your midlife day, your job, your kids, your aging parents, your finances, your health, your marriage, your calendar, all running simultaneously, all demanding attention. Your librarian is not fetching one book at a time. She's fetching 5, tracking 3 side conversations, watching the front door, and trying to remember whether she left the oven on. So when someone asks her a completely different question mid-fetch, the book she was carrying just slips out of her hands. There is a specific term for this: cognitive load. And midlife carries the highest cognitive load of any life stage. Not because you are less capable, because you are running more systems in parallel than at any other point in your life. If you have ever watched Meredith Grey of Grey's Anatomy lose her train of thought halfway through a diagnosis on a 15-hour shift, you have watched a brilliant midlife librarian getting overwhelmed in real time. The knowledge is not gone, the bandwidth is used up. So here is what we want you to hold on to. Your library is intact, your books are intact, your intelligence is intact. Your librarian is overworked. She is not fired. She is not sick. She is not slipping into dementia. She is exhausted, underfueled, interrupted, and asked to do too much at once. And every one of those things is fixable. Here are 3 ways to actually help her. First, rest her. Prioritize sleep like it is a medication, because for the retrieval system, it is one. Even 1 week of protected sleep, protected from screens, from alcohol close to bedtime, from doom scrolling, can measurably improve word finding. This is the single most powerful lever you have. Second, pause and breathe when the word gets stuck. Do not force it. Do not spiral into "what's wrong with me?" The tip of the tongue phenomenon almost always resolves on its own when you stop chasing the word, because the librarian works better when the alarm stops sounding. Third, regulate the body first, cognition second. If cortisol is chronically elevated, no amount of trying harder to remember will work. Cold water on the face, a slow walk outside, 10 minutes of not being asked anything by anyone. When the body senses safety, the librarian can go back to her desk and finish what she was doing. Losing a word mid-sentence is not the beginning of losing your mind. It is your librarian asking for a break she never got permission to take. If you become increasingly forgetful, please follow up with your doctor. Don't forget to subscribe for more mental health content.